Got my Bitcoin cup.
All right. And I think that we're recording, so that is perfect. Super perfect. So everyone, welcome back. I haven't even named this thing yet. We should try to come up with something, but the whole point of what I'm doing here was that I figured one of my favorite things I did in the last couple of weeks was bug the crap out of Adam Draper and corner him and get him online so I could ask him some questions. And I thought I need to do this every week with people in my network who I think are way smarter than me about the things that I talk about or that people are asking me about. So today I brought Steve Beauregard in from Bloq, and I wanted to ask him about Metronome and some other things. But first, Steve, tell us about yourself. You're a pioneer in this space.
Yeah, awesome. It's been a really fun ride. So I got involved back in 2012, started GoCoin in the early days, back when we felt like we were late to the market. And I was a payment processor and a couple of exciting years there, and really watched the market develop and a lot of the ups and downs. And but really, really amazed to see what has transpired and what hasn't. You know, I think that's kind of the way to think about it. Like, banking is still a problem today. And we thought, you know, back in 2014 that we were just on the verge of cracking the code on getting banks to accept crypto. And, you know, it just took a while for those things to develop. So I ran GoCoin for 4 years, really wanted to be a part of something that had visibility beyond just the payments market. And I joined Jeff Garzik and Matt Rozak at Bloq about March last year. And so Bloq, yeah.
Nice, that's awesome. So that's like a funny, I may have screwed up the video, but it'll be great for everyone else because you were the highlight. And I think when I recorded it, I was only recording you for the first minute, but it's all good. Nobody wants to see my face anyway.
Oh, sure, it's all good.
So what, where I was gonna go is there's this funny theme, I think, in most tech companies, and I saw it in the crowdfunding world, and before that with like social media stuff that I was working on. But like you had a good point, which was you thought you guys were late to the game. And I mean, I guess I shouldn't go with my opinion. What do you think? What stage are we in right now? Is anyone late to the game? I mean, is it still super early? I mean, it goes like this. So.
It really is. In fact, it's interesting. We had a board meeting last week. You know, Margot is now the CEO of GoCoin. William Quigley, who's also you know, one of the original board members and founders. You know, along with Brock and John and the other guys. And you know, we had this conversation of, you know, we're in a really great position to sort of just reset and say, you know, where can we focus our attention? And a lot of the types of merchants that we thought we would be getting, you know, 4 or 5 years ago are now coming on board. Some of the merchants that we brought on that just didn't do any volume are starting to surface and do a little bit more volume. So I think the payment business will continue to gain some steam. And, you know, it's interesting because you're going to have some inventions, like some of the things that we're doing at Bloq complement very well what we're doing, what we've always been doing at GoCoin, such as Metronome. So we can get into, you know, sort of how I see that playing in the future.
Yeah. So tell us, you know, a little bit about Bloq. And then that was something that one of the genesis for part of this conversation was like, I see really smart people I know on email chains talking about Metronome. I see it all over the place, but you know, sad to say, maybe I don't know as much about it as I wish I knew. So when I saw that you were involved, I wanted to learn more from you.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So first on Bloq, I mean, Jeff and Matt, you know, Matt was one of the early investors. He was one of my investors at GoCoin, which is how I originally knew him. And Jeff being one of the, you know, few core developers that actually worked with Satoshi going back to 2010. So, I mean, the two of them were really, really early into the space, and they got together, I guess it was around 2016, and said, let's look at the market, where it is right now, and where do we see the needs? And that was really when we started identifying the enterprise as an area that could benefit from blockchain technology greatly. And so, you know, some of our customers include like Fidelity and Discover and Citigroup. And so we've got a lot of really, you know, A-list, you know, financial institutions that we work with, and all of them are doing various things in the space. So that's one side of Bloq. The other side of Bloq.
And you guys and with those institutions, are you guys consulting on a strategy basis, or are you developing the actual technology?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, both. But it's really a lucky position to be able to pick our customers, and it's a very short list of people that we do work with. But we're, you know, a very focused team. So that's what we have is we offer a platform called Bloq Enterprise, and some other services, Bloq Cloud and a few others that are coming out that, companies will be able to utilize for various functions that, can help them within their enterprises. In some cases, we're putting in systems that will, help them with, being custodians. In other situations, we're still sort of working through what's the appropriate technology. So that's the one side of Bloq. The other side of Bloq is what we call Bloq Labs, and that's really innovations. And we have a number of customers, not customers, they're sometimes partners. In a sense, it almost acts like an incubator. So what we're looking for is, excuse me a second, this just came in this morning, so I'm going to read it. So companies or organizations that have technical, strategic, or financial significance in the blockchain industries, those are the ones that we'll take on in Bloq Labs and work with. So some of the examples are Space Chain Project. Another one under that is AUX, which is AUX Token Project. Yeah. Kevin's project is now in the family here at Bloq in the Bloq Lab side. So I mean, we see these as ones that will be significant and impactful. And so those projects, we range from giving technical advice to structure advice to, in some cases, rolling up our sleeves and getting involved in coding to architecture. It really depends on what the project needs.
That's awesome. So just so that I feel like I understood it, you have the enterprise side, consulting at all levels, whether it's just high level to actually, again, rolling up your sleeves, to the lab side where you're incubating potential really strong companies that are transformative for the space.
That's right. Exactly. Spot on. And so Metronome was actually a project of Bloq Labs. So with internal resources, and then we also use some outside resources as well to develop not just the concept, but to also build codes and the combination of smart contracts and the like. So fascinating, very fascinating project.
Yeah. So tell me a little more about it. I know that there's from the actual what the purpose of it in the long-term future of it could become, but there's also that they did a pretty innovative type of crowd sale, right? Where the price went down as it got closer to the end, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll explain it this way. So looking at sort of the industry again, this is Jeff Garzik was the chief architect of Metronome, and he was sort of looking at what he felt like the industry needed. One thing was a predictable money supply. So Metronome started off, we minted 10 million tokens, and then the creators held on to 2 million. And like you talked about, the 8 million went into a descending price auctioned off to the public, just like any other blockchain. So not like any other blockchain, but I mean, it's available to the public for use. So anybody who wanted to, participate just sent token ETH to the smart contract, and in turn they got back Metronome. So, but at the end of the initial supply auction, now there's a daily auction, which essentially is about a 2% inflation rate. So that that money supply is going to be now until the end of time continues to go on. And the way the daily auction works is it takes the previous closing price. So let's say the closing price was $2, and it puts the 2,880 tokens out, and it doubles the price and starts descending. So then it would set the price at $4, and when it starts ticking down every minute until people buy up the supply.
Nice. That's really interesting. So the idea is that there's this certain amount of tokens, but then whatever that amount is, if there's 1 million, there will be 2% of that will be new tokens minted the next day.
That's right.
Okay. And it'll work its way down to the previous price or lower, I guess. It could be anything.
Yeah, it could end up selling for lower. And I don't know whether it has yet because it's relatively new. But the idea is that it will provide some sort of stability in the price because of the very nature of it. So what's important to understand is we don't touch any of the ETH that came in. All of the ETH goes into a smart contract and is held in that smart contract. And at any time, as long as there's Metronome or ETH, you can trade against what's called the autonomous converter. So like, for example, let me look right now. In the autonomous converter, we have 67,072 Metronome out there and 595 ETH available. So anybody can trade against those smart contract pairs. And if you want Metronome, you send in ETH, you get Metronome. And
do those two balances actually dictate what the market price is? I guess like one Metronome equals 1/10 of an ETH or whatever the number comes out to.
That's right, and all of this is in what we call the Metronome Owner's Manual. All the calculations, how it's formulated, all of those details are very well documented in that Owner's Manual. I mean, the current price on the autonomous converter is $4.28. So, but all of this is publicly available. Anybody can trade 24/7 against those smart contracts. And by the way, also important to understand, we have absolutely no control over this now. Yeah. Once the software was launched in the Cayman Islands, and it woke up and started auctioning off the tokens, we can't touch it. We can't change it. So it's
that's very cool. So it's, I mean, in a way that's similar to Bitcoin in that way, right? Like it lives on its own. And so all things being ideal, 5 years from now, what does this look like? A currency that's somewhat, I guess, stable in that it's good use for payments. What do you think is
well, definitely predictable, and that's meant to be used like money. I mean, that's really what the idea is, to create a cryptocurrency that's used the way Bitcoin was intended to, as a cash replacement or digital cash replacement. And I think if you look at it, it really acts more like a Federal Reserve almost, because you have that reserve of funds on either side out there as a trading pair. And so if at some point exchanges start picking up Metronome, and there's always going to be a opportunity to get it either directly from the autonomous converter in the daily supply auction, or if it gets onto an exchange, then it would be available there.
Do you think that there is is there a risk, or is it it's a feature of it, but what I'm saying is, I'm trying to wrap my mind around, is it a risk that it's tied to ETH? So if, for example, Ethereum in the future does not live, forever, it could die with it?
That's a great question. And so it's another feature that we've built into that, is the portability from one EVM compatible blockchain to another. And so the idea being that you want to take your ETH and you decouple the token from now the ETH network and want to move it over to Ethereum Classic. And that's a feature that is being developed. There's the feature to extract it is already built, and that was with the launch. And now if you want to get Ethereum Classic, or maybe RSK or Quantum or any EVM compatible chain, they're all, the code can be written that you can take it off of the Ethereum blockchain and move it to the others. So that's ability. So nobody's done a project like this before. So Jeff and the team just did a real knockout job, and went through four different audits, and it's an amazing project. I'm really proud of the team here.
Yeah, it's very impressive, and it's definitely different, and it's an approach. I mean, in a time when I think most of the projects we're seeing are either sort of derivative works of other things, or maybe just a better version of something that will take a year for it to launch, and in that time, like I keep seeing these projects where it's like, we're launching a better this, right? And then you look at the thing that they're better than, in a year from now, it will be a better version of itself. So you don't know which one to pick, right? Like everyone can just point at something they really like and say, I'm going to make a better version of that in a year. It's really hard to gauge. So I like that its uniqueness, and I do like the long-term, I get really excited for these projects that really do what we originally wanted to do with all this stuff, which is mass adoption, actually change the way you conduct business, right? The way you bank, the way you pay, you cut out all the middlemen. Like that's all of our dreams, and we get sidetracked with these cool projects for various reasons. So I love it, and
it's truly a built to last design. I mean, the idea is that this is a predictable supply; it never ends. You don't have to worry about it capping out at 21 million. It just will continue to go, and that's part of the fascinating part to watch it take life. And here we are a couple weeks later, and it's up and working and doing exactly what it was designed to do.
That's really, really cool. So I know we could probably, as I start thinking about it, go for a really long time, but I promise to keep it pretty short. And so I just want to sort of end with two things. One is a little bit just popped into my head. Was AUX Token involved in the auction of Metronome at all? Did they help formulate it, or were they a part of it?
No, it was actually very interesting timing, because I think if the timing were slightly different, we might have been able to use the AUX platform to do the Metronome initial supply auction. But the train had already left the station and with the Metronome project. But Jeff really saw the AUX project, and he loved it. I mean, he said, obviously I'm a big fan of price discovery and public auctions, and you're building a platform, which is why we brought them into Bloq Labs. And so we got some really exciting stuff happening there at AUX. And in fact, some of the innovations, we can take some lessons learned from the initial supply auction with Metronome and apply that into the AUX platform. So that's
nice. Cool. Yeah, we should. I'll bug Kevin one of these days soon. I'm overdue to connect with him and get the update. So we'll maybe record that as well.
That'd be great.
The last just quick thing is what are you, we talked about Metronome now and stuff in Bloq, but is there any specific thing, general thing, whatever you want that you're most excited for right now? Anything you want to plug? And I'll post down below your Twitter handle and all that stuff, so you don't have to share that. But yeah,
very cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Some of the exciting stuff on the enterprise side for Bloq is basically the multi-node router that we've been under design for quite some time, but now we'll have some resources that we can put into that. The idea there is that not only routing the Bitcoin blockchain on those active nodes is Ethereum and a couple of other blockchains that will be supporting under the Bloq Enterprise. Bloq Cloud is another series of APIs that will be available, and that's going to be really interesting to watch that develop as well. So. Those are some
these are all to drive enterprise adoption of blockchain.
That's right. That's right. So
and as much as I always I have this relationship with enterprises where I don't super love them usually. But
I also think of the enterprise in two buckets. There's think of like the Fortune 50 and then the blockchain 50. So the Bloq Cloud offering will be available to the big companies like the GoCoins, the Coinbases, the BitPays, companies that rely on that. In some cases, will be hosting nodes on behalf of some of those companies, rather than have them have to run their own internal infrastructures. And that's takes a lot of DevOps time to maintain those systems and keep them up to date. And we've got a team that does nothing but that all day long. So it makes sense to, have one.
No, I love that. And where I was going on the Fortune 500 companies that we maybe are on with a lot of blockchain products trying to potentially disintermediate or replace, they are always, in every sense, it happened with computers, it happens with smartphones, it happens with almost everything, that the enterprise ends up driving consumer adoption, because when the enterprise adopts something, you get all of a sudden tens of thousands of employees of those companies using that product.
Right.
And learning and understanding. So one goes with the other. You gotta you gotta play both sides of it. So
right. So a couple other things that I'm working on in addition to I'm advising the AUX Token project, of course, that we talked about. I've been very selective about the advisorships that I'll take on. So there's only a handful of them, and I'm sure I'll miss a couple, but Nexus Earth is another project I like. They're doing on-chain scaling, as opposed to trying to do second layer applications like Lightning Network or Casper. So very interesting design, very smart team. I like the project a lot. It's its own cryptocurrency. It's been mining since 2014 organically, and sort of grew up with similar roots to Bitcoin. And also advising a group down in Venice called ICOX. They're mostly doing big brand, bring to market kind of projects. And the Kodak One project is one that they were sort of lead architects on. And also keeping busy in the investing in different projects, and love the space and just having a blast.
Love it. Yeah, we're connected online, and some of it's nuts how much all of us and everyone is traveling around. So I've been seeing you travel a lot, and the Metronome shirt that you're wearing now, you were wearing in one of your you were wearing in one of your videos, and I was like, oh crap, that was sort of like, I had seen it so many times. I was like, I needed to talk to you. So thank you.
It was really fun to wear this when we were ringing the Nasdaq bell. That's the other one that I'm advising. Reality Shares. They trade under $BLCN, and now the new China one, BCNA. But you know, you're up ringing the Nasdaq opening bell, wearing a crypto shirt. That's just a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have been wearing shirts with collars lately more than I used to, and I'm about to. I need to just make some shirts for some of our portfolio companies or something, so that I can just stop dressing nicely. Because
there you go.
It's more my style. The second I get home, I literally take off the nice clothes and put on like sweats and some punk rock T-shirt or something. So I just need to start doing that all the time. I love it. So thank you so much for your time. You just actually added a new topic on my list, is the companies. There's a few of them who are doing something in the public space, like listed on Nasdaq or listed on the exchange, and also doing crypto projects, which I've got a couple of those where
actually you should speak with Eric Irvin down at Reality Shares, because what they've done is, you know, the Winklevoss twins were trying to get their ETF up, and that would be custodians of, publicly traded, assets. And so they haven't been able to get that approved. And what these guys did is they basically created an ETF of publicly traded companies that should benefit most from blockchain technology.
That's really, really cool. I love that. And we made
an interview with you.
But I'm not sure if I lost you for a second, but it should be recording, so we'll see what happened with that. But again, thank you so much for your time. We have to do this again, because we're gonna need to catch up. And then I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll do this again soon. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thanks.